Good morning. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Glendale Arts and Culture Commission on August 21st, 2025. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Vice Chair Zadorian is absent. Commissioner Hay?
Here.
Commissioner Kasumian?
Here.
Commissioner Vidor?
Here.
Commissioner Atayan?
Here.
Commissioner Kazorian?
Here.
And Chairperson Yank.
Here.
Agenda item 1, the agenda for the August 21st, 2025 regular meeting of the Glendale Arts and Culture Commission was posted on August 13th, 2025 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. Agenda item 2, consent items. A, minutes of the July 17th, 2025 regular Arts and Culture Commission meeting. B, minutes of the August 12th, 2025 special Arts and Culture Commission meeting, Beyond the Box Artist Review and Selection Committee. And C, minutes of the August 12th, 2025 special Arts and Culture Commission meeting, 2028 Olympics Committee.
Okay, are there any updates or revisions to the minutes? I'll take a motion, and we can approve all of the minutes at once. A motion to approve all the minutes?
I second.
You can make the first motion.
I make the motion.
I'll second.
All right.
Roll call. Commissioner Hay? Commissioner Kasumian?
Yes.
Commissioner Vidor?
Yes.
And Chairperson Yank.
Yes.
Agenda item 3, introductions and presentations, library arts and culture events presented by Loretta Lopez, Program Coordinator. Join us for eclectic live music outside on the lawn behind Brand Library and Art Center. The Brand Summer Music Series is a free outdoor concert series taking place every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. through August 29th. This Friday, August 22nd, enjoy a concert by Citizen Kitten as they perform jazz music. Visitors are welcome to bring a chair or blanket and picnic on the grassy hillsides in Brand Park. Seats are not provided. For more information, please visit the link on the screen. Of Wave and Stones by Yu Kyun Win is on view at the Adams Square Mini Park gas station. Of Wave and Stones pays homage to the ancient Asian wisdom on the power of resilience and the courageous immigrants and refugees who made their new lives in America. The Adamsville Neighborhood Association will host an opening reception on Sunday, August 24th from 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. This installation will be on view through September 19th. For more information, please visit the link on the screen. Glendale Library Arts and Culture invites you to join a series of virtual author talks in partnership with the Library Speakers Consortium. On Thursday, August 28th at 11 a.m., learn how to master the daily grind and become shatterproof in a tumultuous world with key insights by Dr. Tasha Urich as she talks about her newest book, Shatterproof, How to Thrive in a World of Constant Chaos and Why Resilience Alone Isn't Enough. For more information, please visit the link on the screen. Beginning Tuesday, September 2nd, Glendale Library Arts and Culture will introduce new library hours at Central Library and Casa Verdugo Library. These updates are intended to enhance the public's experience at the library by aligning operating hours with periods of higher visitation and increased program activity. For more information, please visit the link on the screen. Applications for Student Commissioner for the Arts and Culture Commission are now open. This position provides a unique opportunity to represent student voices in advocating for arts and culture in Glendale and to gain experience in local government. Applicants must be students under the age of 25 who live in Glendale and must be able to attend meetings on the third Thursday of the month from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. for a one-year commitment beginning January 2026. The application deadline is Friday, September 26th at 5 p.m. For more information, please visit the link on the screen. Glendale Library Arts and Culture and Reflect Space are pleased to present Reimagining Algorithms, Cultural Heritage in the Age of AI. Reimagining Algorithms is an art-infused, research-based, and technologically adventurous exhibition that highlights how artists reimagine and reinvent culture while also casting light on how the same technology is used for its destruction. The exhibition will be on view through November 2nd. For more information, please visit the link on the screen. On behalf of the Associates of Brand Library and Art Center, Brand Library is accepting applications for the Brand Associates Dance Series 2026 season. Dance companies with at least 5 years of experience are encouraged to apply to present an educational, site-specific dance program appropriate for all ages on site at Brand Library and Art Center. The application closes on October 31st. For more information, please visit the link on the screen. Moving on to agenda item 4, oral communications, there are none. Agenda item 5, written communications, there are none. Agenda item 6, action items. A, Glendale International Film Festival sponsorship opportunity. Motion approving 1, the funding of a proposal by Glendale Arts to provide programming associated with the Glendale International Film Festival from September 25th through the 30th of 2025. And 2, the sponsorship of programming in an amount not to exceed $10,000 from the 2025 to 2026 work plan.
Commissioners, before we jump into this discussion item, do we have any recusals for this agenda item?
I believe we do, yes, myself.
Okay. We would like to invite you to step to the back while we discuss the agenda item. And then you can come back after we discuss. Commissioners, we're very excited to present this opportunity with you. We're very delighted to have Nina Crows, the Chief Executive Officer of the Glendale Arts, to share about the sponsorship opportunity for the Glendale International Film Festival.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, Chair Yank and commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here today. And before I get into the Glendale International Film Festival, I did want to just take the opportunity to thank you as the Arts and Culture Commission for being so generous and giving with the funds that you're managing and your time and talent and resources. I know you get a lot of requests for sponsorship and support, and it shows with the vibrancy and creativity of the city. And you probably already know, but every dollar that you invest, this is based on national data, it comes back $5 to $7. So you are directly impacting the community in a tremendous way. So thank you so much for the opportunity for me to be here and share with you about the Glendale International Film Festival, which runs September 25th through the 30th. And this is our 11th year of the film festival. You can go to the next slide. This is just, it's all in writing. It's a little bit small here, but just to share with you about Glendale Arts, we are a nonprofit organization. We've been around for close to 21 years, 22 years. We currently operate in the ACE 121 gallery space, have wellness programs through the arts, and also produce the Glendale International Film Festival. As I mentioned, it's in its 11th year. Can we go to the next slide, please? And then I can share more details about the event itself. It's over 6 days. We keep it hyper local. We screen our films at the Laemmle Theater. Nothing says independent film making like the Laemmles, and so we screen our 111 films over 3 of those 6 days at the Laemmle. We're working in two different screening rooms. So we're able to show so many films because they vary in length from short to feature length. And they're all put into blocks of about an hour time frame. So we end up having about 25 blocks of programs that are accessible at the Laemmle Theater. Our opening night is at the Maya Rooftop. It's a really fun reception at the Glenmark. Our 3 screenings days, as I mentioned, are at the Laemmle Theater. Our panel discussions are around the corner at ACE 121 Gallery. And our our awards night, this year we're presenting 19 awards. Our awards night is held at Glen Arden. And our awards go to the categories of all of our genres that we're celebrating, which are comedy, drama, I think this year's dramedy, and actually horror comedy, which is very interesting, but some people are choosing to tell their story in this way, animation, and of all lengths of short as well as feature length. We also have an animated and a documentary category. In addition to career filmmakers, we also celebrate student filmmakers. So we have a category for student filmmakers as well as screenwriters. So super excited to celebrate all of that. It is an international film festival, so we are screening from 10 countries this year, including China, Japan, Armenia, Canada, Mexico, Italy, Spain. Yes, this screen just says a little bit about the high caliber and quality of the film festival itself. We're highly ranked in Film Freeway, which is the portal that is highly recommended and used by film festivals across the world. So we're highly ranked in that, and it's reflective of the feedback that we get and the coverage that we receive from Deadline, from Variety, and this is just something from Pasadena Weekly also included here. So the next screen just celebrates Some of the other sponsors that are participating so far confirmed, this is a partial list. It includes other governmental agencies, family foundations, businesses of all sizes, small, medium, large, corporate donors. We're working closely with 3 local hotels and also some production companies as well. So excited to invite everybody to come under the umbrella of the film festival here. So specifically, your request in front of you today is to advance your mission, which basically says it up here, the storytelling that we provide an opportunity for through the film festival is all about exploring the human experience. We bring people together to create a more livable, vibrant, and cultural city, and we do that under the umbrella of the Glendale International Film Festival. So the $10,000 sponsorship request provides a lot of marketing opportunities as well as advancing your mission. We're providing opportunities to highlight the Arts and Culture Commission through a pre-show trailer that we show in front of each of our 25 screening segments that I shared. Your logo's on the Step and Repeat, which is outside of the Laemmle Theater. Of course, there's tickets to the event. There's an advertising opportunity in our digital program where you can highlight all the number of things that you're doing, or a call for artists, or some of the programs, or your call for commissioners, although it may have closed by then. Your student commissioner call may have been closed by now. But also, mention on our website and social media pass, and of course, you're tagged. The tickets can be used. It's an all-access pass, which means to all of our events and our screenings, you can use them for yourselves, or you might want to designate other people to take advantage of the screening tickets, for example. So happy to work with you on that. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity to help reduce barriers for filmmakers. Your contribution helps us keep our low to no cost to our filmmakers in participating in this film festival. So thank you for your consideration of funding for the Glendale International Film Festival, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have at this time.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the presentation. We'll go in order with any questions or comments. So we'll start with you, Commissioner Hay.
No comments.
Okay. Commissioner Kasumian.
Thank you for your presentation and the work you've done for the past over decade. I think this is a great opportunity to put Glendale on the map, especially for independent filmmaking, as you said. So I'm happy to know more about this.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing that up also, because I know that there are a lot of film festivals throughout the world, Southern California and in Glendale, and we are the only ones that carry the name of the city with it, and we take that very seriously, and we wear that as a badge of honor. So thank you for mentioning that.
Commissioner Kazorian.
I really liked the presentation, and it was very thorough. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Atian.
I'm always a huge advocate for filmmaking, so obviously I don't have any questions at this point. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
I'm just curious what the student filmmaking participation is, because I think that's a really unique aspect of it.
Yeah.
Too.
On Friday, we start our day. I believe this year we're starting around 12:30 in the afternoon on Fridays, and we do our highlight of our film festivals, of our student films. This year, they are short documentaries, a lot of animated films from CalArts this year, and I would say on Friday alone, because as student films tend to be more short than feature length, we're probably screening close to 30 films on Friday night. And it's really exciting to get them involved. And then I'm excited. Many times it's their first opportunity to be in a film festival. And so we work with Glendale Community College, for example, this is part of, if you want to be a filmmaker, this is one of the things you have to do. And how do you build your network? So it's not just you and your cast and crew showing up, but people that support you. You can build your network so the next film festival, you continue to expand that. So it's an educational experience.
And what's the overall budget of the film festival that you're raising each year? I'm just curious.
And that we're raising, or the budget? of the
Just the
festival?
budget, yeah. So-
The budget of itself is just under 90,000.
Okay, great. Are there any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'm happy to take a motion to approve.
I motion to approve.
In a second.
I second it.
Roll call, Commissioner Hay,
Yes.
Commissioner Kasumian,
Yes.
and Chairperson Yank.
Yes. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank
We're looking
you.
forward to
I
it.
truly appreciate it, and we'll be in touch with Jennifer. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Agenda item 7, discussion items. 7A, art donation policy.
Commissioners, as we discussed at the last meeting on July 17th regarding the City of Glendale's art donation policy, the Commission directed staff to provide samples of art donation policies from other cities. So in this agenda packet was the City of Beverly Hills, City of Los Angeles, City of Pasadena, City of Santa Monica, and City of West Hollywood's art donation policies for your reference and review. And then we can open up the discussion regarding the thoughts on the donation policy.
Yeah, and just to frame it quickly before we go to discussion and questions, we are looking, just to clarify, we're looking to update the current policy that Glendale has, which we've talked about being a little bit thin, on the details. And so we reviewed the rest of these policies to see what we might want to add to that for future consideration of donations. Okay. Great. We can start off the discussion and then happy to do as many rounds as are needed. But Commissioner Hay, would you like to kick off with any thoughts?
Not yet. Not yet. I
Not
was,
yet?
like, reviewing
Okay,
it, yeah.
that's fine. Commissioner Kasumian?
At the moment, no.
All right. Commissioner Vidor, we'll start with you. You have lots of thoughts.
I do have lots of thoughts. It was interesting reading all the various procedures. It's certainly a mixed bag in the greater LA area. LA obviously has the most sophisticated one, and it was really impressive to read it. Looked like museum quality, and they're obviously proud of their legacy of holding a collection of art, which makes sense. It's a world-class art city. And then you go, thinner, nothing. And that was interesting. But I guess my comments include a couple questions that I'd like to get to. The first question, which Deb Thompson and I talked about this, she's the president of Brand Associates, and they have a collection over there, which is, problematic at times, is why do you want to do this? That was her question. Has it been articulated? Can that be the opening statement if we're going to do it? And I think we need to spend a little more time on that. And then we also need to discuss upsides versus downsides. I think that storage, obviously, I don't remember if our policy talks about storage, but good. I think storage is an absolute no-no for us because it's just problematic for the city and it's bad for the art, whatever it is, to not be seen. So storage wouldn't be permitted if we were to go with a policy. I think that it's interesting. I tried when I was with the Associates of Brand Library, and we had this big collection amassed over 40 years from award-winning pieces from the Works on Paper show, and we tried to get them out into the city, police station, all kinds of places. And we just ran up against a brick wall because of concerns about liability and legality. And so that, if that's not well thought out, it becomes a major showstopper. I prefer, because our staff is stretched very thin, to even develop our mission with the Urban Art Program, that we should stay focused on that, realizing the completion of what we've already approved, getting the new things in the pipeline moved along, and then looking at new exciting pieces of art and music and other things. So the idea of managing a donor program that could either be very spare and periodic or deluge us, I'm hesitant to even want to continue with it. I have some thoughts and recommendations. Okay, I think of all the procedures, I would like to adopt with some Glendaleization, the Pasadena policy, which basically disallows or discourages donation. I don't remember the word, I have it here somewhere, but the wording was pretty straightforward. And that we leave donations to the cultural organizations, museums, and businesses, and we can make recommendations to people who have art that they want to be seen. Where do you want to donate it to? Here's a list. Here's some people you might want to talk to. We've got museums and pending museums in the city, and I think they should be taking on that responsibility. And of course, I think, you know, we've already discussed this a little bit. We definitely want to disallow people putting up art without authorization. I think in the case of where we have temporary art, like, what was it called? Art Happens Anywhere. And the artist wants to donate their art, we can consider that. We did that with Kathy Horenda's piece, and I think we did that with one of Scott Froschauer's temporary pieces. I think another alternative is that we can commission an annual or biannual call to donors. Like, it wouldn't necessarily be artists, it would be, you know, do you have a piece of art you think is worthy of Glendale? And people submit, and we choose from that pool. So it would be handled like an artist call. You know, I think we have to make sure that we're wanting to stay with this at this point, because we have a lot of big global events coming up. We have a lot of work that's still in the pipeline, and I don't think we have that many donations coming in, but looking at all these procedures made me wonder what kind of resources and budget these cities have to carry on their business, and I'm not even sure I know what would be required of us. So I say we put a pin in donated art and extricate ourselves for the time being. That's it for me.
Thank you, Commissioner Vidor. Commissioner Kazorian, do you have any comments, thoughts?
Yes, I really liked what you said about making a pool of maybe submitting art and kind of choosing or re-choosing who gets to submit that art and who gets to, you know, what art gets accepted, and then we choose it based on that, instead of just getting like a bunch of donations and then having them sit and collect dust, you know. So I really like that.
Commissioner Attian.
Yeah, I completely agree with all of that. I heard at our last meeting, there's a lot of art that's just sitting in the bottom of the library, and I think we should take care of that before we jump to new donations and new art. But like you said, Commissioner Vidor and Commissioner Kazorian, we should take applications for very serious art donations and then maybe find businesses or certain locations that want to display the art. I think that's very important.
Yeah, thank you everybody for your comments so far. I also struggled with this. I think that having a clear reason why, like just to back up to that question, would be a good question to ask ourselves. And I do appreciate that the city's art collection has its own mission. So I think if we were to embark on a donor program for art, that, and there is an existing donation policy, so that's also something to consider, but that we have a very clear mission. I think since our work has been so focused on public arts, that is one way to potentially organize it, that, that there are very specific sites that are defined, you know, in advance, and that only public art donations would be considered. And then there would be a pretty, I mean, I was getting into the weeds a little bit, but there would have to be a pretty detailed process for submitting a work for donation that would have to include, you know, engineering, like considerations, the quality of the material, valuation, like professional appraisal, and conservation and maintenance. And probably the donor, which a lot of these cities do, require an endowment from the donor to maintain the work if it is meant to be permanent. I think another option is doing another thing that Arlene suggested, which is only considering temporary loans. And that would also like relieve a lot of pressure and burden off of the city for maintaining artwork into the long term. So we could do the same thing where we designate certain sites that might be good options for public art, and that we would only consider temporary loans of art to the space. They would still have to go through that process of valuation and conservation and, you know, stress test and making sure it was appropriate for view and for how long. But it would be very easy, it would be much easier because then the artist could be, or the donor could be responsible for then deinstalling the work after a certain period of time, and it would be back in their possession. So those are a couple of my thoughts to kind of limit it without cutting it off entirely, because we never know. There may be some incredible artists, some incredible work, and we're like, oh, we can't say no to this, you know? But like, how do we make it work within the city's capacity and within a policy that makes sense? So those are some of my thoughts, and I'm happy to go back around if Commissioner Hay, if you want to weigh in.
Well, I agree with you guys. So I definitely think that we don't need to get all those donations and collect them in the storage and just collect dust. But I'm all for allowing people to donate art. And I think we have lots of options to present those. Like we have lots of libraries, we have lots of empty walls that we can hang beautiful pictures or something. It's just about going the process of which artwork is worthy to go on those walls, you know, if we're specifically talking about pictures. And I do believe there are lots of talented and good artists, specifically in city of Glendale, that are looking to donate their art, and they're really wanting those to be hanging somewhere in a public area, either in the city or in the libraries or some other places. So we just need to understand how to do this process correctly. So we don't say no, but if we say yes, then we know how to process with this.
I guess one follow-up question to that, and thank you for those comments, is let's say a particular wall is designated by the artist, you know, they have a proposal, they've done all the paperwork that, you know, shows this is a quality piece of art, comes before the commission. What would you feel about still having it be under that temporary loan status?
Oh, I like that idea.
Like
I
you
do
can,
believe there
like,
should be a time frame.
Yeah.
We don't need to hang something
Like have it
and
forever.
for forever. I'm 100% on that with you, and I think it should be like maybe like 2 years, 3 years,
Yeah.
4 years, 5 years, you know, and then rotating, you know, putting something else that will be more fun, and also will not deal with the preservation and like keeping it, you know, and maintaining it.
Yeah, and then the artist would still have the
but
rights of
many
ownership
artists
to
will
the
have
work, and
the opportunity to present their
Okay.
art, you know. Yeah.
just wanted to clarify.
Yes, definitely.
Want to weigh in?
I agree with what Commissioner High said. I like the option of giving artists the opportunity and appreciating their passion for it, for their work, and for our city. So if we could figure out a way to promote it versus nope, we don't want it, in a more kinder way and encouraging, that would be nice.
Commissioner Vidor?
Yeah, good comment, but I want to make sure I understand it. You mentioned appreciating artists and their work. So were you referring to, you know, artists who are displaying their work temporarily and, you know, or they have a piece that they generated and created that they want to donate? Or are we talking about people that have something on their wall that they bought that they now want to donate? Or do we make
Well,
a distinction there?
It could be either or because an artist doesn't. Artists make their work from passion and emotion and inspiration. So I think that maybe we should just, it doesn't matter what type of art, whether it's specifically they made it for this or they've made it and they now want to dedicate what they made to,
So you're talking about artists donating their art?
yes.
Okay, not people just having, you know, stuff on the wall that they like or that they collected over time. Might be quite old, might be not so old, and they want to now turn it over to the city. You're talking about artists that
Yes.
make things. Okay,
Artists that
okay,
make things, yes.
got it. That's
If it's things that they've collected, then that's different. I mean, if
That-
it's a,
yeah, that can really be a hornet's
Yeah,
nest.
I would definitely take donation only from the artist himself. Like they
Oh.
painted and they want to donate, not just like someone collected, some collector who collected a bunch of stuff and then once of a sudden they decided to donate it to the city of
Okay.
Glendale. We don't need
So
that.
you also were saying art donation by artists of
By
their
artist,
work.
by the
Okay.
author, yes,
Okay.
only.
especially
I
if it
jump
doesn't
in?
make any
Okay,
sense.
let's
to-
take turns.
All right.
Let me just jump
Yeah,
in real quick.
you-
What
you
if
can go.
it's an artifact that's from Glendale that's dated from a long time ago and
Like an old photograph or something.
yeah, that's something that ties in with Glendale. I think that would be something really cool to see, you know, displayed because it's something like antique or something that represents Glendale in some way. You know, I think that would be also really cool to have, not just from the artists themselves, but it could be something from the past, you know, that kind of ties in with the present, you know?
I agree. I was going
Okay.
to add that if they're going to donate things that they've collected, that's not necessarily related to anything within our city. That doesn't make sense. But
Yes.
if it's artifacts that are historic to Glendale, that would make sense.
And I think that
consider.
can be one of the metrics by which we, as the commission, judge works that come to us. Commissioner Atian?
Yeah, I feel like obviously like if it's someone who's just collected like pieces over the years, I don't think we should put too much put that forward instead. We should put works that have been created by the artists themselves and put priority to people who actually live in Glendale. Obviously, if the collection can be displayed somewhere or like a business wants to have the collection or something, maybe we could look into that. Obviously, but I feel like that's not within our jurisdiction. But for the history, like you said, I think if we find like a historical photograph of Glendale or something, there's the history room at the Central Library. So maybe we can collaborate there, see if something's more history, something's more art, and have that distinction between if it's something we should keep or it's something that they should handle.
Yeah, and just to clarify, I think what we're trying to do is put very clear expectations of what people can expect when they come to us with a donated artwork. So I'm hearing that we want it to be Glendale related, Glendale artists, or something that has some relationship to the city of Glendale. I'm hearing that we're okay with either public art or art inside city buildings, but that, I mean, I'm interested to hear people's thoughts about having a site in mind, because I think that's an additional burden of work on the staff to have to find sites and places for the work, you know, so having the person who's donating it do that work might be helpful, you know, and we could give some frameworks around like, there's these possibilities, these building possibilities, these park possibilities that we would consider donated works for, you know. But I think the other thing to think about is how much do we ask of the donor to do their research, you know, on what, and so that they're putting forth a really good option, you know, I've selected this wall, I have this piece, this is why I think it's important, and I've done all of the paperwork to show you the provenance and the appraisal of the value of this work so that we know what we're going into. But I'm also hearing that temporary loans is really the direction that we would like to go in terms of not permanently acquiring artwork as a city, but having people be able to loan works to the city for display.
Yeah, and most of artists already envision like where specifically they want their picture, for example, to hang.
That would be
So
what I would
they're
assume.
very specific
Yeah.
about their art. Mhm.
Yeah. Commissioner Vidor?
Yeah, I think focusing on donations from artists is a good idea. I'm,
And we could say we could prioritize those.
yes, but I'm a little bit more inclined to go with the idea of a call, like basically handling this the way we handle the urban art program, where you have a call to donors, you put it out there, and not just, oh, I happen to have this piece, so I'm going to approach the city. A call to artists for donations, and we should predetermine the sites where these may go, because we don't want to accidentally step on any really high potential sites that we want to use for our urban art program. So it sounds to me like we're talking a little bit more about walls. You know, people mostly have paintings and photographs and things like that. So that's what we're talking about. And then as far as ephemera and things like that, I think that's important. The city does, you know, we may not have a collection, but the city of Glendale does maintain by procedure a historic archive of photographs. So it seems like that, you know, we can, if they don't know about that, we can direct them there, but the place to go for that is the archival photograph repository in the history room. And, you know, the Brand Library has all kinds of historic photos up on the wall, and we can help decide where to put them if somebody wants to display them, but that should be with them. I also think doing this thing where donations come in randomly and you periodically bring something into the collection for exhibition, you know, we're trying to do continuity here, and if we, instead of doing it one-off, if we do something on the order of a call where it's all done at one time and we can look, you know, like, this is how we do it. We do it once a year in March, example. And so if you have something, you know, and then it really gets it out there too. And you just don't have to be a person who's in the know about donations. It's like a public call, and we see what comes in and handle it that way. Because you know, we want continuity, and I'm not even sure I know what did we say, that it relates to Glendale? You know, that it has to be about Glendale? I'm not even sure I know what that means, because does every piece of art have to be about certain subjects? We're part of a vast urban, you know, multiverse here, and, you know, I think we limit ourselves when we say it has to be about Glendale. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be something that glorifies Santa Monica. I mean, let's, you know, we don't want to be ridiculous about it, but I think we should broaden our horizons a little bit with the Glendale theme.
I mean, I think to clarify, I was meaning that the subject matter wouldn't have to be about Glendale, but that
Okay.
it had a relationship to Glendale, like the artist was from Glendale,
Oh, okay,
or,
yeah, yes.
you know, and
Great.
so it could be any subject matter, but why would the city collect the work of
Yeah.
somebody else?
They
you know?
either
But
live
we're
in
not
Glendale
even
or practice in Glendale, or they have studio in Glendale, something related to
Inspired
Glendale.
by
yeah.
Glendale.
something that's related. But I think, again, we're not talking about, you know, we're talking about loaning work, which is sort of a different question
I have a
because
thought.
it's temporary. Yeah.
Mhm.
If, for instance, we take on this loan or they give us their work for a certain amount of years, we portray it, would we be able to, let's say, put it in auction, the artwork, and for whatever funding we received for this art that's been donated to us, use it for a charity that's established in Glendale, or use it to form of giving? So the money we make from selling the artwork that's been donated to us, we find a way to give back to our community in ways of sponsorship or donating to nonprofits. I don't know. It's just a thought.
Yeah, I think if,
Sell it, to take the proceeds and
Take the
do something
proceeds,
with
then
it?
do something beneficial to our community for it.
I mean, Beverly Hills does that. They always put some sculptures, something. They always have a price tag. People go, watch, enjoy, you know, and then someone buys it. And then the profit goes somewhere.
I think if we're talking about accepting gifts to the, which again brings up all of the issues of storage and siting and conservation and maintenance, then we could sell it. But if an artist is just loaning it to us, then we can't.
Okay. Well, if it's a donation, they're donating it to us, and we've had it for so many years and have no
think-
place to put it. Maybe we can consider putting it selling the work or auction or whatever you want to call it, and then using the proceeds to better our community somehow, or even the arts.
Yeah, and that's what's currently in the policy, that we can sell the work that is donated to us. But I think going back to Arlene's original point, do we want to even be accepting gifts of artwork at this moment?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we can't in the future.
Yeah,
But since we have so many other things going on, I think it's a capacity issue for the staff having to like take in this work, figure out where it's going to go, maintain it, even an open call for donations, I feel like is another
it's a big,
burden
it's a
of
call.
work.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
but I do like the idea of like, we will only review these one time a year
yeah.
in this month. You know, so we collect whatever has come in over the full year.
Yes.
We look at it all together.
It's like asking for a sponsorship. You have to do it, you know.
And it's also like a little bit, I think there's, you know, it's also a little bit around what restrictions do we put on the people donating? Like what work do they have to do? Because it can be costly to hire a professional appraiser, hire a conservator, you know, to like have an official report, which is what our current policy requires. And I think it's good. All of the cities that had a robust policy required that.
And requires staff to support it.
Yeah. But with a loan, maybe that's not as large of an issue. I mean, we would still want, I think, documentation, but maybe it doesn't have to be quite as intense as, you know, something the city's going to acquire permanently.
Quick question.
Any other comments? Yeah.
I have a comment. Do we have any like stats on how much like fluctuation of art do we get during the year? Or is that just we
Do you want to answer that, Jennifer?
We don't have a huge influx of art, but to Commissioner Vidor's point, we do have a lot of art that's in the basement that is not currently, in my opinion, being well taken care of or maintained. So storage is a massive issue that we have in the city, so I would be very hesitant to take on any additional art at this point in time. But it is, again, up to the commission on what you decide.
No, I was asking for, because if we were to open up the polls and do like a year of just receiving art and then, you know, looking through them and seeing what goes and what doesn't, do we have anything that we can go based off like how much art that gets submitted like in the past years, or do we not know that?
We have two currently that have inquired about art donation that are in the queue, per se, for now.
Yeah, and that kind of brought up this discussion because I didn't want to consider them without having gone through what our policy is.
Can
Go ahead.
I feel like I'm talking too much, but things keep coming up in my mind. I feel like I really feel strongly that we should put a pin in this for now because there's so much going on. We've got, you know, world events coming up that are going to make the focus on our art programs even more intense than they already are and require a lot of attention and even possibly speeding up some activities. You know, as the Olympic Committee gets going, we're going to be busy with that, and there will be a lot of coordination involved. And I feel like there may be a time, but we should make a note to file to you know, do what Pasadena did. And I love their statement, when possible, the city tries to connect donors with, you know, they say Pasadena City College, other, you know, people who handle artwork, museums, things of that nature. And we can certainly be nice to people who are generous enough to want to donate to us. But I think at this point, from what I've seen of the workload and how things go and roll and progress, we should focus on our mission. And that's not to say we can't have donations in the future, but right now, if we have stuff sitting down there, I would really not want to start throwing money and human resources, like good human resources and money after bad. It's just not productive. Sorry.
I'd like to make a proposal of maybe some action items. One is to have a clear part of our policy saying that we are pausing artwork donations to the city, at least maybe till after the Olympics. I don't know what's a good time frame for people for the next 3 years or something. And then we could revisit the policy after that, and we'll only consider loans, temporary loans. And that there's already a lot of language about that would each be done on kind of a separate contract with its own separate terms. But I do think we should add some language about the kinds of loans that we would consider. You know, that there would be a site proposed, that it would be related to the city of Glendale. I actually think the West Hollywood list of metrics is pretty good, you know, where they talk about the site, how it enhances the city, the public art, or not public art, sorry, the aesthetic quality, like those are all, and then the relationship to the city, those are all things we can consider as a commission when approving. So having like a little rubric of those metrics. And many of them are in our policy already. They're just not like laid out clearly, like the ones in the West Hollywood are. And that we have an official form and an information sheet for people who are going to consider donating. And it would be really interesting in the information sheet to have some of these other options. You know, if you have a historical photograph, consider looking at this collection. You know, if you are looking to permanently donate an artwork, you know, there's these collecting institutions within Glendale that you might want to approach. And so that we have a little information sheet of what folks should prepare and a form that they fill out. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a suggestion about maintenance. I think we should have a clear amount of like how much we want to spend on maintenance for each artwork. If we, like, let's say we have 2 pieces of artwork, one requires at least like $700 of maintenance and the other one requires $300, you know, like looking at the costs and like having a sort of like a baseline as to how much we should spend on maintenance. I think that's worth noting.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I mean, maintenance is always going to be the biggest issue. For a temporary loan, we should still consider maintenance, and maybe that's something that is on the donor, actually, to take care of over the time that it's in the possession of the city. But each of those would sort of have its own case-by-case basis. Thanks for that comment. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I agree in principle with everybody has said really useful things here. But I totally agree that we should state that we have suspended the program temporarily. That's a very good idea. And we do have art, I guess, in the basement here. Where I know about the Brand basement, and that's quite extensive. Is there another basement that has art in it?
The Central Library has some pieces in the basement.
Okay. So maybe while we're, you know, some of us, maybe not all of us could, I'm very curious. I've been through the Brand collection and we did trot some things out at the Brand Library, but you know, if we have art, why don't we look at what we have now, since it was donated with an intent, and we can do like a dress rehearsal and say, oh, these would be excellent spots for donated art, and maybe try putting up some of the pieces we already own in those spots and see what happens.
We did have, I think it was maybe a year or two ago, maybe Lopez remembers, but we had an intern who documented the artwork that's in the basement of the Central Library. So we have a folder internally that has photos. Maybe you can talk more about what Mariah did. But we can share that with the commission just so that you can see currently what we've documented that's in the basement of the Central Library.
And I know the brand has a comprehensive list as well
Yeah,
with
we
little
don't- I don't-
thumbnail pictures.
Do we have the thumbnails of Brand? I can't remember. Maybe we do.
I'm not too sure. I want to say that we don't, or I believe that was a project Celine was about to work on and she didn't get to it.
I know we connected with the Brand Associates with Deb, and Deb provided some information. I don't know how far she got along in the project, is my main question, but we can follow up with that.
Okay.
I think, oh, sorry, go ahead,
no,
Commissioner Hay.
when you constantly talk about maintenance, I assume there are specific arts that require more maintenance and specific arts that require less maintenance. What about simplifying it to accepting only paintings, which are just going to go on the walls that don't pretty much require many maintenance, a lot of maintenance, you know, and it's going to be temporarily, like hanging there for a couple of years and return to the artist, you know, and they're going to be promoted, they're going to see their arts on the walls. And again, I'm going back to the fact that it still can be sellable because that's a common practice, and the profit can be split between artist and city or something, you know, like, because that's a normal process to do it.
Yeah, I think that the maintenance question is a lot less of an issue if it's just a temporary loan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think we can be a little bit broader about what we might accept. Again, thinking about site, location, you know, what it takes to install it. Obviously, somebody who wants to install a public artwork it's gonna be way more expensive, and we would want to require a lot more information and probably money from the donor to do that if we wanted to consider it. But yes, I mean, painting, works on paper. When you think about works on paper, they do require maintenance because I think the Brand Associates is all works on paper, and if you have it permanently, that's when it starts to degrade or there's pests or you know, and especially in storage. So, but if it's temporary
Yes.
and it's for display, then that can be an agreement, I think, worked out with the artist. You know, over the next 3 years, you agree to check in on it, make sure there's no, you know, somebody didn't throw some coffee on the wall or, you know, whatever, and like, we're not liable for that sort of thing. So I think we can do that with a simple agreement for a temporary loan of a work. And we don't have to get so into the details of like permanently maintaining a work over 25 years or something, which is a little bit too much.
Yes, and maybe for now, limiting it only to paintings, and in the future, maybe more sculptures and some other stuff, you know.
Yeah, I think we can take it on a case-by-case basis. The thing I was going to just mention is I do think there's another area of discussion, which is a de-accession policy regarding the current works that we have.
Is there-
So that's like a whole, I mean, we have a policy that's only like 2 lines, I think, about that we can potentially sell it. Or we can potentially relocate it. That's all we have in terms of disposition of the artwork. That's like a de-accessioning policy. But I think it might be worth looking into the de-accessioning policies of cities if we want to deal with the artwork that's in storage currently.
I have an idea.
Yeah, go
maybe
ahead.
Possibly with all the artwork that we have and all the events that are coming into our city soon, is there a way we can do an exhibition and showcase and create like an attraction for people to come into our city and take a look at the art that we do own, which looks to be a lot. It doesn't have to be in one specific place. Maybe we can find the place that we want to bring in more traffic and showcase the artwork there and install a touristy site.
I think a good first step would be to know what we have.
Yeah.
Because, you know, who knows if it's even suitable for display at this point. I don't know.
As far as limiting to just paintings, if we're gonna pause, we should just pause on all forms of art versus just paintings, because it wouldn't be fair, because art is such a wide,
Yeah.
has such wide horizons. So if we're gonna pause, just pause on everything
Yeah, I think for permanent donations, yeah, pausing on
at the
everything.
moment.
Yeah.
Well, even, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
First
you can
right
go.
in. Even, I agree with you, and even temporary things, I think at this point, the sensible thing to do is to keep evaluating this, look at the details of a de-accessioning policy, and see what others do. But first, let's deal with by either inventorying first, and then looking at potential display sites for what we already have, because we have a pretty extensive collection of art. I don't know about the one you're talking about, but the one in the Brand is very big. And, some of it's very good, like a lot of the older stuff, you say this doesn't work anymore, or it, looks dated or whatever, so there may be things that are ripe for de-accessioning from the get-go, but let's take care of what we have before we acquire more.
I have one question, quick one. What happens to the art that, is gonna be, removed?
That's why we would need a deaccessioning policy. So there's various different ways that the different cities have dealt with that. Like you can give a right of first refusal to the donor, so they could take it back. The second right of refusal would be the artist themselves if it's not the donor. So the artist could decide to take it back. And then like the third step would be to sell it. That's often how these deaccessioning policies work. So, you give a chance for the donor or for the artist to take back the work if you want to deaccession it. And in the case that's not, and then there's usually some kind of stipulation of where the funds would go, that you would decide. But that would be a separate policy, I think, than what we're talking about today. Yeah.
Let's say if the artist is deceased, would we just go immediately to selling it, or would we try to contact like family and?
I mean, that's a good question for a deaccessioning policy. So maybe that's something to agendize in the future, is to talk about dealing with the current collection that we have and coming up with a good deaccessioning policy for works that we would want to remove from the collection, because we would want to work out all those details,
Or if we're not going to be selling them, another option would be to, for organizations in our city or businesses to inquire about taking the artwork themselves. Like we would be donating it to them or loaning it to them, but we can put a call to action, say we have all this artwork and this is up for grabs, basically.
Yeah. And that would be a lot of work too, deaccessioning works from a collection. So I think, again, we run into capacity issues, but it might be good to formulate a policy around what that would look like if and when we can start to address that.
Can we make
Right.
the first thing we do to assess what we have and talk about what we might or might not do with it?
I would recommend, this is a discussion item, so there are no action items. But if you would like to agendize, we would need a second, if that makes sense. So Chairperson Yank had mentioned that we would need a second in order to agendize this topic of
To talk
assessing
about
the
a
collection and deaccession policy.
Oh,
We would just
does
need a
the-
second.
Does talking about the collection include assessing what's there and, okay.
But I
Maybe-
think it's hard to do that without having a good policy for deaccessioning works from the collection.
I was thinking of the practical aspect of, yes, I agree, deaccessioning is important and we should have a policy for it, but if it's practical to do, in the interest of getting it out there, that there might be works that are exhibit ready and we could find some spaces on walls for them and through an approval process decide to put them out there because we already own them.
Okay.
To that point, though, we would have to, this is food for topic for another time, but the artworks that are in the basement of the Brand Library are technically owned by the Brand Associates.
Right.
So we would have to have an agreement with the Brand
Oh,
Associates.
that was my question, yeah.
Which we can talk about at another time, but just food for
Those
thought.
aren't
Those
owned
the
by the
city
city.
does not own those. The Brand Associates
Not
own
under
those.
our,
Right. But you know, there are people on the board there who are knowledgeable and work in the field of art who could help. You know, I think they may even be starting to do something about that.
But just to be clear, it's owned, the Brand Associates owns those works.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like the first thing to do would be to look at what we have.
Yes, I agree. Very interested in
Pause it
that.
for the 3 years and check.
Okay, so it looks like we have two commissioners who would like to
Agendize.
agendize a current collection review.
Okay.
Let's review
Discussion.
what we have. And then
We can also follow up on the language of the pause with the city attorney's office and what we can actually say to the public in regard to our pause.
Yeah. Or yeah, if it's possible to pause, even if we keep open the temporary loan pathway, just on a one by one basis, we can address that.
We will agendize it.
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Really good discussion. Okay.
Agenda item 7B, 2025 to 2026 work plan progress updates.
Commissioners, we have been very busy outside of our monthly meetings, and we had 2 committee meetings that included the 2028 Olympics. So I'd like to invite anybody who was on that committee to share about what you all discussed. But I know moving forward, we are planning to have another meeting very soon to update the recommendations that we would like to share with City Council. So that is coming forthwith at our next meeting. But I don't know if Commissioner Vidor or Commissioner Kasumian or Kazorian or Atayan want to share about that meeting.
We were all very excited about our meeting and all the potential it will bring to our city and all the things we could possibly do with different parts of our city. So I was very excited about what we all discussed.
Yeah, I was too. I felt like we all had the same germ of excitement about helping to bring the city together, you know, all facets of the city, the business community, the cultural organizations, and us, and that we'd be working as a large team to get this thing.
Exposing sports to the children because everyone's so far away from activities at the moment. But
Yeah, we did a lot of brainstorming, and I think we had a lot of great ideas that passed around. And I'm really excited for our next meeting to kind of
I think
ground
we all
things more. And yeah,
I think we also discussed about connecting with different possible Olympic organizations in our city, or trying to combine different aspects from our city to get into one big Olympic committee. Not just us, but maybe Parks and Rec too. See who else wants to combine their efforts and make this one organization versus separate organizations.
Yeah, we talked about just like getting everybody on board, you know, spreading the word online, getting everybody engaged, and there was a lot of good recommendations. So yeah, next meeting we'll discuss more.
and I think just like the main idea was sports with arts. How do we tie both entities together and making it one and making that Glendale?
Yeah, that was something we talked about, that we were all going to submit potential names for our brand identity. You know, some of the cities have, you know, there's very strict regulations about what you can't say, which is practically everything that has to do with the Olympics. But are we going to act on that and look at that at the next meeting, the name ideas, and maybe decide whether we want to open it up to a broader? Okay, great. Exciting. Can I ask a question as part of the comments?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's on a topic.
Yeah,
but-
it's a discussion item. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I just wondered what, if you knew, I did attend one meeting of the Alex, and Commissioner Hay is also on that committee, the Alex 100. And I just wonder, seeing as we're coming up on that initial weekend of celebrations, if there's been any official press out to the public and to also whatever VIPs are going to be going to that reception, et cetera?
I would recommend to hold that question to staff and commission comments if we can, so that we can get through the rest of these
Oh, I'm
updates. But I
sorry.
think that's a valid
Okay,
question to ask.
okay.
But if
I
we can
thought
pause
were
on that for
the
now.
comments already.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking.
Oh,
Thank you.
That would be great. We have another update.
Yes, so we also held our Beyond the Box Artist Review and Selection Committee meeting and selected the 5 boxes for this year, which I'll show to everyone now. So the theme for this year was celebrating Glendale, in which artists were encouraged to create a design focusing on what makes Glendale special. We received 105 submissions that staff reviewed alongside the committee, consisting of Commissioners Hay and Kasumian and Student Commissioners Atayan and Kazorian. And as I stated, we selected 5 applicants with the locations shown here. So first we have Beauty of Glendale by Mary Hansen on Cañada Boulevard in Verdugo Park, which is an Art Nouveau-inspired piece depicting scenes around Glendale surrounded by flowers. And her design highlights some of the architectural delights that Glendale offers, along with her version of how nature enhances and flows all around us. And the back of and front of the box highlights Glendale's wellness dogs, Cooper and Brisket. Next is Glendale in Bloom by Arpine Shakbandarian on Chevy Chase Drive and Maple Street, which celebrates Glendale Sister Cities program through a vibrant garden bouquet featuring the official flowers of each sister city. Framing the bouquet are 2 graceful peacocks inspired by Glendale seal and the jacaranda branches, creating a cohesive and celebratory look that reflects the flourishing city of Glendale. Next on Glen Oaks Boulevard and Louis Street is a design by Alexandra Tertichnaya, which depicts a woman holding her daughter peacefully sleeping in her arms, and the woman looks at her with a smile. They're surrounded by magnolia flowers, butterflies, and koi fish, all elements that can be found in Brand Park. In the background is an archway welcoming visitors on their way into Brand Park. On Pacific Avenue and Dryden Street is a design by Randall von Bloomberg, which is inspired by Claude Monet's French Impressionist paintings, and this design presents the Glendale Train Depot as an active, historic, and contemporary space. A couple kiss under the Glendale train sign while a woman hurries by with her suitcase roller, and flags blow, palm trees sway, and the dinging of red lights signal a train is approaching. And lastly, on Pacific Avenue and Stalker Street is a design by Talene Janian, which highlights the beauty of Dukmagian Wilderness Park in Glendale. The design features a range of outdoor activities and breathtaking scenery, such as hiking, the historic stone barn, wildlife, and scenic picnicking areas. And yeah, that's all. If any of the commissioners have any questions or comments.
These are great choices. Thank you all for your work on this. I was curious, again, just to clarify, these are going to be printed on vinyls now? Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I think they'll be nice. Yeah. Any other comments or? Okay, great.
Okay, so moving on to agenda item 8 is commission and staff comments.
Okay. Commissioner Hay, any comments? Anything. Anything not on the agenda. This is your moment.
No, I wanted to go back to the ones we chose. I think those were great choices, but next time, if possible, because I'm the type of personality I usually like to have control from A to Z and then be responsible for my choices. Because we didn't have a chance to see all the items, and there were like 105 items. I would love to dedicate as much time as needed to see all the items, even if it takes my entire day. I understand there was like time issue and time-sensitive matter, but if that's possible, Arnav, in the future, if we are choosing something, I want to see all options before making my final decision.
Can I rebuttal on that really quickly? I think the reason why the 110, how many were there? 105 were not shown were because they didn't follow the curriculum that we had sent out to them. So that's why they had narrowed it down to like the last, 20 or
Yeah.
something like that.
We presented about 15 to 20.
Like
to you
15
all.
to 20. That's the reason. They just filtered through it, and that's why there was only like 20 of them to see. But yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
I
there
know
was
that, but
also
still.
sizing issues too. The arts weren't up to code for the sizes of the utility boxes.
So if, if the pieces, I understand that if you get things that don't meet the requirements, they're disqualified. So maybe in the telling of the applications, we should, state at the outset of the meeting that we had 120 submissions and we have 60 viable applications to consider, because the others got disqualified, and, make it clear that we're only going to even consider those that meet the requirements.
Is it possible for commissioners who want to see ahead before the, like the meeting? Because the meeting time, not everybody can dedicate all the time, but for them to see all of the eligible submissions, to review them ahead of time would be my question.
I'd have to confer with the city attorney's office. Once we release all the applications, they are public documents. So in the past, it has been that the commission has trusted the expertise of the staff to make the decision to narrow down the applications. But if the commission decides that they would like to move forward in a different direction, we can host a meeting for 4 or 5 hours in city council chambers and review all 100+ applications if that's what the commission would like to do.
No, it's not about trusting the expertise of people who made a decision. It's about, let's say, someone donated or presented their art, and they're seeing you on the street and asking, okay, I presented something and you guys didn't make a choice. Like, may I know why, for example, right? So you need to know how to answer to that person to justify your decision. So you can say, oh, I didn't see that, That's the whole point of what I said.
Yeah, I think I'm not suggesting having a 4 or 5 hour meeting. I don't think that's logical or possible for commissioners that are volunteering their time. But I do think that I'm wondering if there's the ability for commissioners who want to, just review what the submissions have been ahead of time. And of course, it would have to be narrowed down to only the eligible submissions
I mean, we can confer with the city attorney's
to
office.
see if that's possible. Okay.
Does that set a precedent for other selection processes? Because, we get a lot of music ones, and looking at those involves viewing videos, and if we did it for one, we wouldn't necessarily have to do it for the other.
I think you would have to do it for all application processes, in my opinion, but we can confer.
There might also be some procedural guidelines in like the request for artists or the RFP or whatever. So it really depends on the language in there, but we can look into it and get back to you on that. But I think we should be consistent.
Yeah. I mean, if that's the case, then I think we should continue to trust the expertise of our staff members in narrowing it down. And that's what you can tell people, is we trust the expertise of our staff member in narrowing down the top choices, and we chose from those. So, I mean, that's my personal opinion on it.
We also did share additional applications in the meeting to the commissioners for
Yeah,
additional review. So
several
we're
ones,
not
yes.
just showing you 20, we showed you probably 50 out of the 105. And I would say 30 or more were ineligible because they didn't follow the directions that were stated in the call for artists.
Yeah. Commissioner Atian?
Yeah, like one of the utility boxes that we saw, they had only finished, I think, 2 sides instead of 4 sides. And it was like how are we gonna, figure out what we're putting on the 2 other sides? It looked great, I can't lie, but, it would, if we're gonna put something on a utility box, it should be from like start to finish complete. And then
I trust that our staff picked the best options. I honestly do, because there were many beautiful options to choose from. And the ones that we were shown that were ineligible were obvious why they were ineligible. Maybe it would be nice to, because we found a few, we considered a few works of art that, oh, this would have been nice if the symbol was this. Maybe if we could like reach out to the artist,
Do some
if it's possible.
reconsideration.
Oh, instead of doing this symbol, would you be able to incorporate our Glendale seal or our department seal?
I don't think that that works with the way our process works, though. Because we put out an RFP, it has clear directions. If the artists don't meet it,
Don't
they're out.
interfere.
They can try again for the next one. You know, you
Well,
can't
no,
go.
I'm not talking about that. And then I'm talking about one of the works was, oh, this, it would be great if the seal the dog was hugging was included the fire department and the police department. It was still beautiful as is, but if we could reach out, oh, can you add
But then
this?
that's us acting as the artists.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I don't think we can do that. So it's just like
Regardless,
you,
I
you
did-
accept the design as given and you say yes or no. That's our job.
Regardless, I still think the options we were given to choose from were pretty good options to pick from.
Yeah.
So,
And
Okay.
And what usually happens with the non-chosen ones? It just goes back. I mean, they can still apply for
Apply
next
for a new
time,
one.
next year. Yes.
People are welcome to apply next time.
are they open to get comments back, feedback on why this wasn't chosen?
We're happy to provide
Yeah,
comments,
so they
but
can come
most
back.
artists don't, but we always provide the option to give feedback if they
Okay.
want.
Commissioner Vidor?
yeah, I did something I was going to say. I think it had to do with the process of saying, okay, here's the 20, what else do you have? And do you rank, I mean, do you have like another set, like here's the short
Yeah,
list?
there's like a medium.
And then there's a, you know, you go down and, so you could always, you know, if there was some disagreement about whether one was acceptable, you could bring another smaller set up to be looked at.
Which we did do.
And that's what they did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, now I'm talking about amongst the eligible materials
Yeah.
that, you know, if it's not eligible because they didn't follow the rules, they, forget it, they're done. But if it's something that isn't, I know from experience how
Yeah,
painful
no.
that is when you don't follow the instructions. But, you know, there's always something that could be considered, and a few more is reasonable, but I think looking at the whole set is, you know, probably a little.
I think requiring it,
Yeah.
but as you did in that one, you know, you were able to open up other options beyond the ones that you had chosen.
Okay, that's good.
Any other, we'll keep going, unless there's anything else, Commissioner Hay? Okay. Commissioner Kasumian? Commissioner Vidor, do you have any comments? Commissioner Kazorian?
Do you want to follow up on your question that you had?
Oh,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
I totally
sorry.
forgot, yes.
The one you had
I
said
don't
before.
want, I want to make sure it's
Talking
accounted
about
for.
the status of the Alex 100 ticketing, publicity, information.
I do know that the Alex Theater has hired their own marketing consultant, and so they are in charge of promoting. They have shared their season with us, but in regards to VIP invitations or any invitations, that is all done through the Alex, but I can follow up with them.
Yeah,
On
I
who's
just,
invited.
you know, having been at the one committee meeting, I did a couple days ago look on the website, and maybe it's just my lack of technological skill, but I was looking for, you know, maybe there aren't tickets if it's an open public thing, but, you know, the logistics and the details of how one participates in these events that were listed and how they get tickets, and I didn't see the information and thought maybe I'm looking in the wrong place.
Yeah, I can definitely provide that feedback to them and circle back on that opening weekend if we can have more information.
I had no further questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Otian?
No comments.
All right, I am also good. Thank you all so much for your work and for your time today. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting
I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
in a second?
I'll second.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you so much.
Good meeting.